There are a lot of things we can do, I think, to minister to singles. One is to recognise that there are many different types of singleness. There's the sort of not married yet stage of singleness for people maybe in their 20s or early 30s. There are those who have never married, maybe in their 40s, 50s, 60s. There are those who are single again, either through bereavement or through divorce, and that number is growing significantly. So we're seeing a lot of people now in their late 50s onwards who are becoming single again. It's very easy for us in our Christian church culture to make an idol out of marriage. I think there are a couple of reasons for this. One is that our culture certainly makes an idol out of sexual and romantic fulfillment, and it's easy to kind of Christianize that by turning it into an idol of marriage. And secondly, I think because we've seen our culture shift in its understanding of marriage and the family, as we've tried to defend a Christian view of marriage, sometimes we've done it in a way that unwittingly idolizes it. We sort of make it the goal of the Christian life. You've not matured enough as a Christian if you're not married yet. So we need to make sure we're honouring singleness as a gift from God alongside marriage. Paul makes that clear in 1 Corinthians chapter 7, verse 7, that each of us has one gift. One may have this, the other that, and he's talking in that context about marriage and singleness. So both are expressions of God's goodness in and of themselves. So the gift of singleness is not some special superpower that helps you to be single. It is the state of being single, just as the gift of marriage is the state of being married. So the church needs to see the intrinsic goodness of being single and not just see it as the absence of the good stuff of marriage. So Paul, again in 1 Corinthians 7, shows that actually one of the good things about singleness is you are spared some of the trials that are there if you do marry. Paul says that, there are certain worldly troubles he would rather spare us by having us stay single. But as well as avoiding certain particular trials that come with family life, Paul says singleness gives us typically more flexibility and freedom in how we serve the Lord. And so we're just being pulled in fewer directions. So singleness is a good thing, and we need to make sure we're esteeming it as churches. And therefore we mustn't be building church life around the family unit. And it's very easy for churches to do that. And it kind of implies the basic unit of church life is the nuclear family. And if you don't have a nuclear family, you just don't fit in. So I spoke at one church where the leadership said to me, how can we help singles become part of the church family? And the very assumption behind the question shows the problem. They're not thinking of singles already being part of the church family. And another way of thinking about that is we need to radically rethink our understanding of family itself. So in the New Testament, the church is the family of God. And therefore, if we have a biological nuclear family, actually we should be mingling our biological family with our spiritual family and drawing members of our church family into our biological family life. That will bless, we hope, the people we draw in, but actually it will bless our families as well. So singles shouldn't feel as though they don't have family. And in fact, in Mark 10, verse 28 to 30, Jesus makes this promise that those who leave fathers and mothers and brothers and sisters and sons and daughters to come to Christ will receive 100-fold in this age, and then in the age to come eternal life. So actually Jesus is promising that people will have more family in him than they ever would have had if they'd stayed away from him. So we need to make sure in our church families that there is no lack of family, community and intimacy for those who are single. Otherwise we're calling Jesus a liar.